What's going on, YouTube? I'm D. Ellis. I want to welcome y'all back to another episode of Crime Circuit. And for this video, we're going to be speaking on the murder of Joseph Augustus Zarelli, or also known as the boy in the box. Now, before we get into this video, it's going to be a little disclaimer. If you guys are sensitive to murder, crime, things of that nature, this is about a child who was murdered. So, like I said, if you guys are sensitive to this kind of content, I suggest you click out of this video, and hopefully I'll see you in another one. All right, let's get into the video. Joseph Augustus Zarelli, born January 13th, 1953, passed away February of 1957, or previously known as the boy in the box and the America's Unknown Child, was a boy whose naked, extensively beaten body found on the side of Susquehanna Road in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on February 25th of 1957. Joseph appeared to have been cleared and freshly groomed with his recent haircut and trimmed fingernails. Although he had suffered extensive physical abuse before he died, with multiple bruises on his body, Joseph was also found to be malnourished. The body was covered with scars, some of which were surgical, most notably on his ankle, groin, and chin. The police believed that the cause of death was by homicide by blunt force trauma. Despite the publicity and the interest throughout the years, the boy's identity remained unknown for decades. On November 30th, 2022, the Philadelphia Police Department announced that detectives had determined that the boy's identity using DNA and genealogical databases. On December 8th of 2022, more than 65 years after his body was found, the boy was publicly identified as Joseph Augustus Zarelli during a press conference held by the Philadelphia Police Department. On February 25th of 1957, Zarelli's body, wrapped in a plaid blanket, was found in the woods of the Susquehanna Road in Fox Chase, Philadelphia. The body was discovered by a young man who was checking his muskrat trap. Fearing that the police would confiscate his traps, he did not report what he had found. A few days later, a college student spotted a rabbit running into the underbrush. Knowing that there were animal traps in the area, he stopped his car to investigate and discovered the body. He was also reluctant to have any contact with the police, but he did report that what he had found the following day. After hearing the disappearance of Mary Jane Barker, the naked body was inside a cardboard box that once had contained a bassinet of the kind sold by JCPenney. Zarelli's hair had been recently cropped, possibly after death, after clumps of his hair clung to the body. There were signs of severe malnourishment, as well as surgical scars on the ankle and groin, and an L-shaped scar right under his chin. The police received the report and opened an investigation on February 26th of 1957. The dead boy's fingertips were taken, and police at first were optimistic that he would soon be identified. However, no one ever came forward with any useful information. The case attracted considerable media attention in the Philadelphia and Delaware Valley. The Philadelphia Inquirer printed 400,000 flyers depicting the boy's likeness, which were sent out and posted across the area and were included with every gas bill in Philadelphia. The crime scene was combed over and over and over again by 270 police academy recruits who discovered a man's blue corduroy cap, a child's scarf, and a man's white handkerchief with the letter G in the corner. All those clues led nowhere to the police. In 1998, his body was exhumed for the purpose of extracting DNA, which was obtained from one of his tooths. On March 21st of 2016, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released a forensic facial reconstruction of the victim and added him into their database. The body was exhumed yet again in 2019 to retrieve additional DNA samples. Now, there's a couple theories that we're going to cover in this video, and one of them is the foster home theory. This theory concerns a foster home that was located approximately 1.5 miles from the site of the body. In 1960, Remington Bristow, an employee of the medical examiner's office who doggedly pursued the case until his death in 1993, contacted a New Jersey psychic who told him to look for a house that matched the foster home. When the psychic was brought to Philadelphia Discovery site, she led Bristow directly to the foster home. Upon attending an estate sale at the foster home, Bristow discovered a bassinet similar to the one sold at JCPenney. He also discovered blankets hanging on the clothesline that were similar in the ones which the boy's body had been wrapped when they discovered him. Bristow believed that the boy belonged to the stepdaughter of the man who ran the foster home, and that they disposed of his body so the stepdaughter would not be exposed as an unwed mother. However, the police had established that all the foster children were accounted for, and that re-examination by the police investigators confirmed that the family were likely not involved in the boy's murder. Now, in 1998, Philadelphia Police Lieutenant Tom Augustine, who was in charge of the investigation and several members of the society, he interviewed foster father and his stepdaughter, whom he had married. The foster home investigation was soon closed. Another theory is the woman known as Martha or M was brought forward in February 2002 by a woman identified only as Martha or M, accusing her mother of acquiring and killing the child. Police considered her story to be plausible, but were not troubled by her testimony as she had a history of mental illness. She said that her mother and father purchased Joseph from his birth parents in the summer of 1954, after which he had been beaten to death and his body left abandoned inside a box outside of town. Police were unable to verify her story. Neighbors who had access to Martha's home during the stated time period denied that there had been a young boy living there and dismissed Martha's claims as ridiculous. Joseph Augustus Zarelli was originally buried in the Potter's Field. In 1998, he was reburied in Ivy Hill Cemetery in Cedar Brook, Philadelphia, which donated a large plot. The coffin, headstone, and funeral service were donated by the son of the man who buried the boy in 1957. There was significant public attendance and media coverage at the reburial. City residents kept the grave decorated with the flowers and toys on the boy's gravesite. The large headstone, which first installed, contained the words "America's Unknown Child" on January 13, 2023, which would have been Joseph's 70th birthday. A new memorial containing his full name and image was unveiled, along with the addition of his name to the existing headstone. At a December 2022 press conference, Philadelphia Police Commissioner Outlaw stated that Joseph's death is still an active homicide investigation and we will still need the public's help. Law enforcement reported the same conference that both of Joseph's biological parents are deceased, but the child has living half siblings. At the same December 2022 press conference, Philadelphia law enforcement stated that Joseph had lived in the area of 61st and Market Streets. In January 2023, NBC 10 Philadelphia reported that Joseph was born to a couple that lived at a 74th and Callow Hill, although the channel stated it was unclear if he had lived there for long enough for people to even notice him.